Hello everyone, I'm Yi. Today, Dongyang and I are going to introduce you Glance, a system that helps researchers to rapidly code behavioral videos with the crowd. Here's the outline of our presentation. First, I will talk about the current scenario with behavioral video coding. And based on the problems in real scenarios, I will introducing Glance as a solution to the problem. After that, I will also talk about the design paradigms for video coding that leverage crowd workers. My partner Dong Yang will further introduce the feasibility study from three different perspectives, as well as some details of Glance and some future research directions based on it. The biggest problem with the behavioral video coding is that it is extremely time consuming. It sometimes can take 5 to 10 times longer than the playtime of video, and plus some extra time for developing a reliable coding scheme and for checking its reliability, etc. On the other hand, computational approaches are not mature enough. They sometimes yield very poor results to be able to automatically label segments of behaviors. Even with the help of some commercial video coding tools, researchers still need to view all videos sequentially, which can take a considerable amount of time. To solve this problem, the authors propose a system called Glance. As we can see from the picture on the right, the question is asked, and some small clips of the video are sent to the crowd workers who label events in parallel. The judgments are then quickly merged together and displayed on the analyst interface, so that the analyst can get response almost immediately. The picture shows the example of the use of Glance in the presidential debate in 2012, which we'll talk about later. The whole mechanism of Glance imitates a Q&A conversation by bringing research analysts close to an ideal conversation with a system that can understand natural language queries. Let's go deeper to talk more about the design paradigm of Glance. To leverage the use of online crowdsource, the system begins recruiting workers into a container so that it can be available so that the crowd workers can be available within a matter of seconds of posing a query. As we can see from the picture, sometimes people will use a retainer queue to make the crowd workers available almost immediately after query. To post queries, research analysts can just enter a name for the query and a natural language description of the event. He or she can also select one or more parts of the video to serve as examples for workers. When a query is posted, Glance sends tasks to multiple crowd workers in parallel and retrieves answers as soon as possible. Glance also provides some ways for the researchers to reduce the cost. The system also allows analysts to adjust parameters like redundancy, playback rate, sampling rate, and gist mode to reduce the cost. Each time a worker codes a video clip, the judgment gets displayed in the video coding UI. Glance visualizes the partial results to show analysts the in-progress results. Analysts can choose to use one or more aggregation algorithms to see the aggregated result, or it can choose to see the raw worker input as well. The picture shows an example visualization, and the next section will provide more details on the aggregation algorithms. It is understandable that the reliability of the workers' judgments are closely related to the queries and description given by the analyst. To help guide analysts, Glance provides feedbacks about the query's clarity and the likelihood of convergence. The system analyzes variance between workers and predicts the quality of results even before a query is finished, and even when there is no baseline data for comparison. Another part of the feedback on the query Glance can also highlight when worker may have either made an error or noticed something the rest of the crowd didn't. To further support the interaction with video data, Glance supports follow-up queries that use prior responses as filters to reduce the number of video clips under consideration. For example, an analyst can search for the existence of a broad category of behavior and then only within clips that have this behavior ask for more specific variations of that behavior. To select a filter query, the analyst can select one or more previous completed queries, and the new query will only be run over positive instances of the returned clips. Conversely, the reverse selection tells the system that only run a query in selected clips that were a previously coded event was not found.
So now I'm going to introduce a series of feasibility experiments to describe and validate the core features of Glance. For these experiments, video clips from two different datasets were used. So the first one is the 2012 presidential debates. It's the first hour of video from the presidential town hall debates between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. Glance coded for 5 different types of behavioral events. Workers were asked to mark the spans of time when the candidates were making eye contact with each other, arguing with each other, transitioning from sitting to standing or vice versa, exhibiting rapid changes in mood, and using hand gestures. And the second data set is the design team interactions. It's a human subject experiment where two people work together on a design task and provided feedback to each other on their designs. The data comprised 30 seconds of interaction with 10 different pairs of people. Glance coded for 4 different behavior events. Workers will mark segments of video when the designers were making eye contact with each other, shifting their focus between different designs, providing positive feedback, displaying a burst of excitement. So with this data set, we recruit 493 unique workers from Mechanic Turk, and they will be trained with an interactive tutorial and a simple task. Workers in the retainers will be asked to mark event spans. So here is the worker interface. Workers are asked to press this button when they see an event start or end to get an initial estimate of the time range of the event. And they can correct the marked range by sliding the marker here. In the GIS mode, workers are only asked to mark whether they saw the event occur or not. The first experiment is eliciting rapid results. The study is to learn about the time required to respond to natural language queries. So we run some time trials to measure the average time that it takes workers to view and mark events in 30-second clips from the debate video. We hire 10 workers per clip, and the results shows that the average time is 60.05 seconds per clip, with the standard deviation of 12.29, and there are 0.93 events per clip. And in GIS mode, it goes from 8.7 to 4.4 seconds when the video playback rate is increased tenfold. So in general, increasing the playback speed will reduce the time to return coded events, as you can see in the graph here. Then we set the playback rate to 2 times speed and perform a full coding of the start and end times for all occurrences of eye contacts. We hire 50 workers into a retainer. Answers begin to arrive after about 60 seconds. And in the first 5 minutes after submitting the query, about 80% of the video had been fully coded. So the result shows that it's possible to code a large amount of video very quickly if enough workers are recruited. The second experiment is the aggregating results. The study is to learn about the accuracy of multiple workers in aggregate. To give analysts a clear indication of the occurrences of behavioral events, Glance aggregates worker responses using an input mediator. It uses a variety of input mediators to fit the needs of analysts. Here we implemented 6 input mediators: simple filtering, k-means clustering, scanning, scanning with EM on the F1 score, scanning with EM on the Jacker index, and scanning with filtering and early bird bias. And to compare our input mediators, we calculated precision, record, and F1 score using 3 different strategies. First, agreement on the occurrence time and span. Second, agreement in the number of behavioral occurrences count. And third, agreement of the span after running multiple sequence alignments to correct for any slight misalignment that may have otherwise produced low precision and record. And overall, the scanning approach is the most effective. The third experiment is giving feedback by measuring agreement. The study is to learn about the feedback provided to analysts to improve their natural language queries based on incoming coded agreements. A preliminary trial shows that an ambiguous description will lead to significantly more disagreement among workers in the total count of behavioral events. To measure the agreement, we create 2 agreement matrices, the Flies kappa and the count variance. Comparing to the aligned F1 score, we find the count variance is more predictive. Therefore, we use it as an agreement score. To compare the clips in terms of workers' agreement level, we perform ANOVA analysis with the clip ID as a single factor with 10 levels. Then we perform multiple pairwise comparison using Turkey Grammar HSD to understand how the mean agreement levels differ. And we take the highest mean agreement value as a threshold value, which is 0.72 in this case, to fill the outsum trials. So we can provide this measure to analysts to allow them to judge how consistently workers are agreeing with one another and thus how accurate they can expect their results to be. Finally, I'll talk about some future work. Now, Glance can dramatically reduce the time required for video coding, but it's still only the first step towards allowing analysts to truly have a conversation with their data. Therefore, it can be improved from various perspectives such as query ambiguity, context, worker training, and cost. And here are some examples. First, latency can be further improved by integrating automated coding. And second, context can be maintained more robustly through crowd curation of a shared memory. And last but not least, a richer interaction with the system is possible by allowing workers to respond to queries when something is unclear. And thank you for your time.